there's nothing I can say that I didn't like about those episodes.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen and sloppy viewers, how have you been? I've been amazing, and today we've got a very, very interesting final video on this Star Wars Theory situation. Yes, this is 100% the final video in this Star Wars Theory Andor situation, as he has released an Andor review, which kind of caps off everything, and I've got a lot of thoughts. But if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I highly recommend that you go over to the playlist on my channel and watch these Star Wars Theory videos that cover this entire situation extensively, and then come back and watch the rest of this video. But without further ado, let's get into this very interesting review where I agree with parts, but I also, there's a lot to critique here.
Originally, I didn't want to comment on the show. Didn't mean I wasn't watching it or anything like that, but as I said in previous videos, I didn't want to comment on the show, make money from the show, review the show online, because I felt like I had to have a certain opinion, and quite frankly, I disagree with my original statement.
Oh wow, look, there's a bit of character growth, and this is something that does actually continue within this review. Star Wars Theory reflecting on some previous things that he said, and retracting a lot of it, and actually having growth, changing his view, changing his opinion, almost apologizing to his audience, but there is a lot maybe towards the end of the video where Star Wars Theory's ego takes over. It's very unfortunate, because I thought for the most part in the majority of this review, he was on the right tracks of actually self-reflecting and realizing that he might have been in the wrong.
I think I've always stayed true to just being myself and saying my opinions, and for some reason I allowed it to get to me. I think I was just spending too much time indoors and working a little too much, and I was just being soft. It's not going to happen again. At least most likely not. So anyways, the show. Look, the first 3 episodes really put me off. I wasn't into it. I didn't enjoy the whole jungle scene. I felt it was so slow. It was so pointless.
And look, never throughout any of my videos on Star Wars Theory have I actually cared if he genuinely likes the show or dislikes the show. That's not my issue whatsoever. Everybody will have a different view and different opinion on the show, and that's fine. And people that are bashing him for maybe not liking the first few episodes of the show, you know, you need to get a grip. For me, it's how extreme Star Wars Theory was going with the things he was saying, how disingenuous he was being, his ego taking over, and just the amount of ludicrous things that he was saying, which for the most part in this review just aren't there. They're more present towards the end, which is, you know, disappointing.
I watched it. Episodes, I started episode 4 because I'd already seen the first 3. Episode 4, slow, boring. 5, slow, boring. 6, slow, boring. 7, changed a bit. Episode 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, for me, I know a lot of people are going to say something about this, probably some of the best Disney Star Wars. You know what? After the first 6 films in the Clone Wars, probably some of the best Star Wars I have seen.
And look, if he had come out and said, I didn't like those episodes, I would have been completely fine with that as well. That is his opinion at the end of the day. But this goes to show that you just shouldn't judge an entire show based off of a few episodes that you maybe didn't particularly like. You know, slate it, say it's not my Star Wars, it's not Star Wars, then go in on the creator of this, Tony Gilroy. You know, you should actually try and give it a chance. Maybe watch the full series before having an actual opinion on the entire series, which now I'm glad he's done. And look, he's realized that, yeah, I was kind of wrong about the things that I was saying. Yeah, that's a lot of the issues with Star Wars Theory is he jumps the gun, he overreacts, he just dives straight into it without thinking properly, and then he gets himself involved in situations and his ego takes over, which is exactly what happened here.
But mainly just focusing on the 3 main characters of Han, Luke, and Leia, and how the Death Star impacted them and how the oppression of the Empire impacted them. We never really got to dive into the little details of the everyday people, of the start of the rebellion.
I'm gonna point out, right, I'm glad that he slowly comes to the realization what this show is actually about, but it's genuinely shocking that it's taking him this long.
And then connect it into episode 4. I think episodes 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of Andor Season 2 was actually really phenomenal. For me, listen, if you guys have been riding with me for a long time and you didn't watch the show, just jump into episode 7 of Season 2. Start right there.
I know Theory got quite a bit of hate in the comments for just saying, you know, just jump straight to episode 7, but I do understand it from a perspective of this is what I enjoyed, I'm just recommended the things that I enjoyed and the things that I genuinely think that you should watch. But of course, if you are going to watch a show and you do, of course, have the time, you know, you probably should watch the entire show so you understand what's going on.
I mean, seeing the level of turmoil that the Empire has caused on the first attack, public attack of Gorman and their seizing of what they want, right? Because Palpatine's very political. He'll do everything that he can with a smile on his face, and we know this. But when it gets to the point where he needs one thing, which is a mineral from Gorman for the Death Star to complete it for the lasers. At the end of the day, if they're not going to give him what he wants, he's going to take it by force. And to see how the Empire did that, Krennic's involvement, Ben Mendelsohn, who's a brilliant actor, his involvement with all of that, overseeing everything, and who we thought were the higher-ups at the ISB are really just little dogs to him. And if we go above him, we see Tarkin. Krennic is like the little dog. It's a really interesting story. And we see how they manipulate that entire overtaking of Gorman by the Empire doing the first shot and making it look like, you know, when one of the snipers took out one of the Imperials, and making it look like it was a first instigated attack by Gorman, and they're now just protecting themselves and retaliating. It plays into a lot of themes of politics today, and it really shows the level of brutality and what the Empire really is all about, which is themselves. Well, what Palpatine wants, taking what he wants. You either give it to us or we're going to take it by force, and that's always been what the Empire is about. Wow, and now I just realized that rape scene was literally encapsulating that.
I apologize for playing a pretty lengthy clip from his video, and we're going to follow up with a pretty lengthy dialogue about it, but that is Star Wars Theory in real time realizing what that attempted SA scene in the show was all about. The thing that I've been saying for the past few videos about this situation is it very much felt like Star Wars Theory didn't understand why the scene was there or what it was about, and he was jumping to conclusions, and of course he was being incredibly disingenuous with his framing, and there he's realized what it was all about, the concept of it, and he's realized that, you know, this is incredibly interesting, and I do genuinely like it, and I understand it. This is what I mean. If Star Wars Theory had just slowed down, didn't jump the gun, didn't let his ego take over, wasn't disingenuous, and just watched the entire show before slating the entire show, then yeah, maybe he would have understood the concept just a little bit better if he just took the moment and time to understand it.
Okay. I was probably blinded by my hatred of The Acolyte and of a lot of the other Disney projects, and just the sheer annoyance that Disney Star Wars fans have, where you just can't have an opinion other than it was amazing, it was perfect, it was peak. Otherwise, you're racist, sexist, and homophobic.
Okay, there's a lot to digest there, but firstly, yeah, you probably were blinded by your hate to a significant degree, right? You don't like this era, so you're just gonna see the things that you don't like. But that doesn't stop you from being incredibly disingenuous, jumping to conclusions, and saying some just insane things about Star Wars and everything in general that you got rightfully called out for. But you also can't pin the blame a little bit on Star Wars fans just in general, being, you know, oh, if you don't like this, you're homophobic or racist, because yeah, there probably are a few people like that online, but that isn't the degree, that's not what happened. It's genuinely like we're taking 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's tiring.
And I hate that, and I think it almost, at this point, it makes us write off so much off the bat because we're so angry and pissed off at this type of behavior and treatment that it doesn't really let us judge things fairly and accordingly to judge each project by itself.
Just own up to jumping to conclusions that yeah, you got it wrong, that you were being disingenuous, that you were doing these things. Don't try and pin 101 different reasons and excuses to why you did this in the first place. You said something that you now don't agree with, that was outlandish, that you got rightfully criticized for. Now you've realized that yes, I got criticized rightfully and that yeah, I was wrong, and now you're just trying to pin it on a bunch of other reasons. Just be honest and open.
Great, on episode 10, I believe it was, to say that she's diseased and she's going to spread a disease and she's like a threat to the public or something like that. I think those are really well done. I remember watching it and I was getting messages for work for Theory Sabers, and I was like, yeah, you know what, I'll answer these later. I want to watch this. And that to me made me really realize that I like this.
And this is what I mean by this review is very mixed. There's lots of things that I think Theory has done right here, and I do appreciate that to a certain degree, he does acknowledge that, yeah, I was maybe wrong about this, and then, yeah, I did actually enjoy this show, and maybe me saying this is shit, that this isn't Star Wars and all of this is crap, was maybe me jumping just a little bit too far. But at the same time, I do really think there's lots of stuff that I've been critiquing Theory for, especially, that is present in this review.
Wake. 7, 8, dude, like, I can't get over it. Like, it was actually freaking good. You guys know me, man. When I like something, I really like it. When I don't like something, I'll let you know. Nothing more I can really say. I'm trying to think if I'm leaving anything out here. So, if you can get this level of competency and this feel and gravitas and writing and apply it to something with Jedi and the Force and Sith that is true to George Lucas Star Wars, you're going to win some people back.
And yeah, if all the current shows and movies of the Disney era had the writing that Andor does, then yeah, they would be in a really good position. But I do like how he's almost framed it that, could you imagine this show but it was about lightsabers, which is one of the common critiques. Is like, Theory probably didn't enjoy the show, didn't give it a chance because there isn't a man waving a giant lightsaber about.
And all of these dicks who said that it plays into my narrative to hate things. First of all, you're a weekend Star Wars fan, okay? I've been in this fight my entire life, so don't come at me with...
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. See, he was on the right path, and then he has to go, look, you're a weekend Star Wars fan, I'm a true Star Wars fan, I'm George Lucas's disciple. Why does he have to do this?
That kind of bullshit. If I really wanted to monetize this shit, I would have made videos about Andor until the cows come home.
Again, I really don't like this point because you made several videos saying why you don't like Andor, why you're not going to be covering Andor, you did live streams about these same topics, you've uploaded so much content about why you don't want to upload videos on Andor, using the Andor name which brought in views because of the current controversy and situation around your name, which did very, very well for you. So yes, you still monetized and made money off of Andor without actually talking about the actual show and just complaining about why you don't want to watch it. So this point is completely invalid. I don't know why he keeps bringing it up. Just because you didn't do reviews or actual content diving into the show doesn't mean that you didn't make videos complaining about it and live streams complaining about it and therefore making money from it.
I know what makes money. I know what titles make money. I know what content makes money. If I was trying to do that, I would have never stopped making content about Andor. I skipped the entire thing. No watch parties, no videos, no weekly breakdowns, nothing. I have integrity, and I stuck to it, and I didn't want to watch it. I didn't want to cover it. But after you guys braided my ass to watch this, I realized that, look, at the end of the day, these are a lot of my community, the people who got me here, who are requesting for me to watch this.
It's because even your hardcore viewers genuinely thought you were being maybe a bit disingenuous, jumping the gun here, and making a huge mistake by saying the things you were and not actually watching the show.
They want me to watch this. They want me to watch it with an open mind, so I did. And you guys weren't wrong. I can see where you were coming from. We're on the same page if we're talking about 7 to 12. So, is it peak Star Wars? I don't think it's peak Star Wars.
Look, so there he concedes a little bit onto his argument and says that he's on the same page with others. And look, he doesn't have to think that this is the best Star Wars ever. The only thing I'm going to say here is this kind of contradicts his statement of, this is the best Star Wars after the first 6 films and the Clone Wars, kind of suggesting that, this is at the top.
Peak Star Wars is the first 6 films. That's real Star Wars to me. Is this peak Disney Star Wars? Yes. But besides that, it was very good. There's nothing I can say bad about it. But to say it's peak is a disrespect to the first 6 films, because the peak is the peak. The peak is as high as it can go.
I really appreciate that theory. Did you know the peak is the highest it can go? Like, the top peak is the peak? Did you know that?
And as high as it can go is George Lucas Star Wars. So this can be right below the peak. But it is a great addition to the lore and the start of the rebellion and the explanation of how the Empire and their regime affects everyday people and their lives. And I think it did a beautiful, fantastic job of that. Anyways, this review is like 18 minutes long now. But well deserved for the praise that it's getting and all that.
Look, as much as I have criticized Theory in all my videos, I don't personally like the guy. I think there are still loads of issues with some of the things he said and how he's acted. You've got to be reasonable people, right? Weird Slop Mule are reasonable people, and I'm glad to a certain extent that he has conceded, that he has realized that, yeah, he jumped the gun here, and that, yeah, this show does deserve the respect and praise that it is getting, which is great to see. It's great to see that he's actually realized that maybe he was in the wrong.
I don't know how it's doing in terms of views or people watching it. I don't know how it's done, but I can definitely vouch for it. Episodes 7 to 12 are fantastic. So that closes the door on Andor. It turned someone who was literally like disliked Andor, disliked Tony Gilroy's statements, and disliked a lot of the Andor fans who would like just berate the shit out of me for years. Bricks and screws.
Again, bricks and screws was funny. You said something that was wrong, people criticized for it, you can't keep complaining about it. That's what happened. Just take it on the chin and move on.
Isn't that? I was so turned off, and I was being a little bit of a bitch about it, to be honest. I was just being kind of soft. But sometimes I guess shit gets to me. I was spending too much time inside, and I needed to get outdoors. I work a lot. Non-stop working. So, anyways, love you guys. Thanks for pushing me to watch it. and I hope you have a great day.
Funny how actually watching the show changed your opinion on the show. That's a pretty bizarre thing, isn't it? Yeah, that brings to close the whole Star Wars Theory Andor situation. I can't see it continuing at any point from here, and honestly, this review was a pretty mixed one. I'm glad that he conceded to a lot of things, realized that maybe he jumped the gun a little bit, and almost kind of issued an apology, which was nice. But of course, there was lots of stuff within this video that I've critiqued that are very much, things that I've had issues with Star Wars Theory for quite a while now, the past 2 years or so. So yeah, a very mixed bag, but I'm very excited to see what you, the viewer, have to say. So please feel free to comment down below, and once you're down there, consider leaving a like, subscribing, and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss a future upload. But I've been your host, Samuel, and I'll catch you in the next YouTube video. Goodbye.